Saturday night, Portland. 6 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter, and the Indiana Fever are winning. Caitlin Clark's already got the building humming, the ball moving, the lead climbing. Then Stephanie White stands up and takes her out. Not at a timeout, not in foul trouble, winning. And by the time Clark sits back down, the game is already gone. The strange part isn't the substitution. It's the reason White gave for it afterward, on camera, in her own words. And once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Here's the number that should stop you cold. The fastest player in the history of this league to 1,000 points and 500 assists. The woman who leads the entire WNBA in passing right now, walked off the floor Saturday with 6 points. One made shot. 1. Final score, Portland 100, Indiana 84. That's 2 straight losses now, both to expansion teams that didn't exist 18 months ago. And in 4 days, Clark has to do it all over again. Thursday in Atlanta, against a team that's been winning. But before we get to Thursday, you need to hear what White actually said, because she didn't dodge it. She explained it. Go back to that first quarter for a second. Indiana's ahead. Clark's running everything. And then she's on the bench, sitting next to Aliyah Boston and Lexie Hull. All 3 of them pulled inside the same 90 seconds. What followed wasn't a cold stretch. It was a collapse. Portland ripped off a 13-2 run while Indiana's best players sat and watched it happen. By the time that quarter ended, a Fever lead had become a 14-point hole, 29-15. They never clawed it back. That's what happens when you pull your engine while the car's still moving. You don't coast for a while, you stall on the spot. So why do it at all? After the game, a reporter asked her straight out. And watch what she said, not what the fans assumed she'd say. White explained that Boston was on a minutes limit, and that's usually around when Clark comes out too. Okay, but then she kept talking. The reason they hadn't pulled Clark that early the game before, she said, and this is a direct quote, "We didn't want Raven in that environment without another ball handler." Read that twice. The substitution wasn't built around Clark's rhythm. It wasn't built around the score or the lead she was nursing. It was built around making the rookie comfortable. Caitlin Clark came out, so Raven Johnson could feel okay coming in. And listen to how she framed the timing. Pulling Clark that early is, in her own word, just what they typically do. Sit with that for a second. Not a one-game adjustment, not a read on how the night was going, a routine. She's telling you, plainly, that lifting the best player in the world off the floor while her team is ahead has become standard practice in Indiana. The only thing different about Saturday is that this time, the whole thing came apart the instant she did it. And here's the detail that pulls the floor out. Clark isn't on a minutes restriction. Boston is. So the one genuine reason White offered, managing a player's workload, never applied to Clark in the first place, which leaves the other reason standing all by itself. The rookie. Then it stopped being about minutes at all. Later in that same game, the cameras caught White and Clark in an animated exchange on the sideline. The kind you don't need the audio to understand. A disagreement. And the way it ended? White turned and called Raven Johnson over to take Clark's spot on the floor. The face of the franchise, the reason a sold-out arena drove across the country to Portland, waved off for a rookie, on camera, in a game they were already losing because she'd done the exact same thing an hour earlier. There was one more tell, and it came from the broadcast. The booth relayed that White feels the team actually plays faster with Johnson running the point. Now, that's the broadcast's framing, not a direct quote from White, so hold it loosely. But set it down next to everything we just watched. The early hook, the rookie's comfort driving the whole rotation, the wave-off on the sideline. This wasn't one bad night of pushing buttons. In a single game, in 3 separate ways, a head coach told you who she'd rather have with the ball when it matters. And it isn't the best guard in the world. And this is the part that should sting the most. Look at who just beat them, not a title contender. The Portland Fire, an expansion team that didn't exist last season. A roster stitched together from the players everyone else left unprotected. The game before that, another loss. To the Golden State Valkyries, another brand new franchise, 2 straight to 2 teams younger than some of Caitlin Clark's college trophies. The club with the most famous athlete on the planet is sitting at 4-4, watching expansion teams climb over them in the standings. That's not bad luck. That's what happens when the most gifted player in the building keeps finding herself on the bench. So who is Raven Johnson? She's the 10th pick in this year's draft. A rookie, 5 years at South Carolina, 2 national championships, a Defensive Player of the Year award, a real talented player, and nobody's pretending otherwise. But here's the part that turns a Fever fan's stomach. The last time Raven Johnson and Caitlin Clark shared a floor that mattered, Johnson was the one assigned to stop her. The 2024 national championship game, the night South Carolina took the title away from Clark. And think about the symmetry for a second. The year before that, it was Clark who'd torched South Carolina. So that title game, with everything on the line, was the night Johnson and her teammates became the wall that finally stopped her. That's the player White is choosing. Talented, proven, a winner, and the living reminder of the one night Caitlin Clark's brilliance wasn't quite enough. The guard who once guarded Caitlin Clark is now the guard Stephanie White wants, holding the ball in Clark's place. Let that sit for a second. And don't let anyone tell you White doesn't know better. She's not some outsider learning this franchise on the fly. Stephanie White wore this jersey. She played here alongside Tamika Catchings, the player this entire organization was built around, protected, and won with for the better part of 2 decades. White has sat in this head coaching chair in Indiana before, back when this city treated its franchise legend like the franchise itself. She knows exactly what it looks like to build a team around your best player, which means what's happening to Clark right now isn't a misunderstanding, it's a decision. Step back from Indiana for a second, because this is bigger than one box score. Caitlin Clark didn't just lift the Fever, she moved the whole sport. The ratings, the sellouts, the money pouring into every market in the league. And her own head coach is the one person in the building treating her like a role player. Every other team in the WNBA builds its game plan around stopping Caitlin Clark. Her own coach builds hers around sitting her. When the rest of the league sees your superstar as the problem to solve, and her own bench sees her as someone to rotate out, something has gone badly wrong. The people in the seats can see it too. Go read the comment threads after Saturday's game. They don't sound like a fan base stuck in a slump. They sound like a fan base heading for the exit. One fan wrote that they'd just freed up their entire summer. Another put it as plainly as you can. I'm not a Fever fan. I'm a Caitlin Clark fan. I go where she goes. Scroll far enough, and it's the same sentence, hundreds of times over. They never tuned in for Indiana. They tuned in for her, and the front office knows exactly what that means in dollars. Clark is the reason this team plays in a bigger building now, the reason road arenas sell out months in advance, the reason a Saturday night in Portland was a sea of number 22 jerseys. Every one of those tickets got bought to watch her play, not to watch her sit. And if the coach keeps sitting Caitlin Clark while the team is still winning, those fans have already told you what they'll do next. They'll follow her right out the door. Which brings us back to Thursday. Atlanta, a team above 500 playing well, sitting there waiting. And one question this whole season is now balanced on. When Indiana grabs an early lead, when Caitlin Clark has the building humming all over again, does Stephanie White let her play? Or does she stand up at the 6:30 mark of the first quarter and call the rookie over one more time? 4 days from now, we'll all be watching the same thing. Because right now, the only person in that building who doesn't seem to want Caitlin Clark on the floor with the game on the line is the one being paid to coach her.